Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. I am here with our founder, Diann Shaddox. Diann, I'm so glad that you, first of all, have put together this amazing organization. And secondly, that you're coming on to share your story of life with Essential Tremor as well. So I'd love to have you tell a little bit of your own personal experience in dealing with essential tremor and even how that led you to starting the foundation here.
All right. Thank you, Darlene. Like Darlene said, I am Diann Shaddox. I am an author. I'm a Native American, member of the Wyandotte Nation, and I have Essential Tremor. My story journey of Essential Tremor began, many years ago when I was in my early 20s. And this little finger, then this thumb, began to quiver. And I didn't know why I was doing it. Now, it didn't just quiver once in a while, it stayed quivering. And I couldn't fill out forms. I tried to sign, write, and my right hand just wasn't working. So I went to my doctor. I went to other doctors. All they said was for me to go home, relax. I was young, stressed, needed just to calm down. I knew something was wrong. So now I am an energetic person. I've always been an energetic person. So I can understand kind of how that came about. But I found a neurologist and I went to the neurologist and he told me, quick, you have essential tremor. I'm like, okay, what's essential tremor? And he explained a little bit about it. I thought, okay, I was really glad to figure out what I had, but I had no idea what I had. And this, okay, everybody, this is before we had smartphones and could Google. So there wasn't a lot of information out there on essential tremor. So I came home and decided I was going to hide my tremors. I learned quickly if you wiggle your hands, nobody notices. If you grip things with both hands, people don't notice. There was tricks I learned. I didn't even tell my family. They just thought I was nervous and they didn't pay any attention to me pretty much. A few noticed a little bit that I was a little more shaken. Years went by, tremors grew. This hand wasn't by itself. This hand became a part of it. Then my legs became a part of it. Internal tremors, head tremors, voice tremors. I couldn't hide my tremors anymore at all. Like I said, I'm an author. So one night I went down to my office and thought, I'll just work on books for a little while. I sat down and I call it like butterfly or bird wings, flapping. My fingers just would not type, or they would type, but you couldn't read what was being typed. So I got angry. I deal with things really good, but that night, it also was my birthday. I thought, okay, this isn't going to work. So I just started typing. And I looked up on the screen and it said, "Happy birthday, dumbass." I'm like, all right. I started to calm. I started to type. That one night, I wrote the entire book of A Faded Cottage, and I brought Wade Witherspoon to life, an artist who developed essential tremor and lost the ability to paint great masterpieces. That one book was interesting. I did a lot of book signings, and I had people coming up to me saying, I have essential tremor, and they would tell me their story. I'm like, they've got the same story I have. They felt alone. They didn't know what was happening. And the stares and people not understanding what we're going through. And it grew. And they kept saying, would you please keep telling people? Tell people what we've got. Then I learned we are over 100 million people in the world. How can that be? Then I learned even more that children, I didn't even think about how young I was, but that children have to deal with this, and how it took me a while for mine to progress. But many children, their tremors are progressing more rapidly. So, like I've said, no one knows essential tremor better than someone who has it. So I decided to start the Diann Shaddox Foundation for Essential Tremor to bring awareness to the world. We have been out there for so long, 50 years or more, and this disease needs to be recognized. We need to get our message out there. And that's what we're doing. My vision is the world understands essential tremor. And my vision is we find ET treatments and a cure. And we will unite the ET community. So no one has to live like they are alone and hide from the world. This is tough. It gets old. I get tired of it. But I'm not alone. And I know everybody out there with ET is joining in, and we are going to make a difference. So that is my story.
Oh my goodness, Diann, thank you so much for sharing that. I know that is really hitting home for a number of people as well. And, it's a very common thing that we hear, that people say, oh, well, they went to a doctor or somewhere, and people just said, oh, you just have anxiety, right? And you need to calm down, when it's actually a clinical diagnosis. So I'm glad that part of the initiative too of DSF, in addition to helping individuals with ET not feel alone, is educating doctors, even educating neurologists, right? And
Right.
those that aren't subspecialized in movement disorders, so that they can recognize it. Because the sooner it's recognized, right, then you know
Yes.
what you need to do. So along those lines, would you like to talk a little bit about what you have found the most helpful for your symptoms in particular, and what you've heard from the numerous people in the community? Maybe give just a couple of tips for folks. I know that would be really, really helpful.
You learn tips. You learn how to deal with it. One thing I'd like to say is anything we do is like 10 times harder and longer and uses so much energy because I am always gripping my fingers together. My hands are tight. My arms get tight when I do something. And that uses a lot of energy. There are so many tricks. I tell one simple trick. It's like I make tea. I love my tea. So I can put my tea pitcher or just a cup in the sink. Don't leave it out on the counter and pour hot water, because you're going to miss. There's no doubt. So there's so many little tricks that everybody learns. And you learn, like I said, gripping your fingers. Trying to text is fun, but I've learned my hand almost gets stuck in a position because I can't do the thumbs. I have to type. There are keyboards, and you can get a mouse that is equipped more to help you with tremors. There are so many. I don't know how to even begin with all the tips of dealing with it. If you're going to a doctor's office or an appointment, contact them. Have them email you the forms to fill out and try and do it online. If not, have them email you and print them out. Have someone help you. Don't put yourself in the position to do it in front of everybody. If you go in and they want you to fill it out there, have them fill it out. Have them have somebody sit down with you. There is no reason for you to have just little triggers can make the tremors go wild. And just a little simple preparing for things can help you. And just remember, you're not alone. And it is a sad thing that doctors and nurses still do not recognize essential tremor. Yeah. And that is what's going to change.
That is changing. So thank goodness for that. And a lot of that is due to Diann Shaddox Foundation. So Diann, what would you say? And thank you for all those tips. Those were super helpful. I know that those are going to help a lot of people too. Where do you want to see this movement go? So if you had a magic wand, what would you choose to do? Obviously, find a cure for essential tremor. Yes. Beyond that, what would you say is your great desire for awareness or treatment for essential tremor?
Well, it's just like what I said. I want the medical community to recognize essential tremor. I want the world to recognize essential tremor. I want them to understand, because we tremor, we still are smart, have intelligence. Just because our motor skill of trying to do something, little techniques, we still have, there's brilliant people out there with essential tremor. It is my vision that no one has to live through being bullied, through being fired from their job, being underrated because they have essential tremor, that they can't do things. Maybe they can't work in a manufacturer thing, putting something together, but there's always a position for somebody. I want employers to understand. I want teachers to understand that children, they may need some help. It's okay. And the children need to understand it's okay. So it's a whole different world I see with people living with essential tremor, no more than any other disability. I mean, if a child has trouble walking and has to have a wheelchair or little help, no one makes fun of him. But if he walks in and he's trying to pick something up and do stuff, it's a laughing matter. And they're with, like you said, education and awareness, we will make a future where people fit in to the world living with essential tremor.
Is there anything else as we're wrapping up that you want to share with folks? Any last minute thoughts as we end up today?
I think the biggest thing is, again, become a member with us. Be counted. Don't hide. We want to unite because many voices, we have the strength when we unite. We can make a whole difference. We can help with legislation, being, all kinds of Congress working with us. We can do so much, but we can't do it alone. We need to be united, and we are worldwide. We want everyone who has essential tremor to be recognized and be respected. And so join us and join our ET Talks.
Yes.
We have one March 16th at 2:00. That is a roundtable discussion. We want everybody to join in and discuss essential tremor. We have another one in March 25th. So that, is what's happening. Keep up with what's happening on the website.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Diann. It's been a pleasure interviewing you and hearing your story. And I'm so delighted to be able to partner with you to really forward this so important mission. Well, everyone, get registered for those ET Talks if you aren't already, and we'll see you back soon with another patient story.